Hello, I'm Pieter Hof from Groasis. Today we are in the nursery of Martin van Nijnatten in Zundert. We get so many questions about capillary and groundwater and what is the difference between both that we have decided to make a very good instructive video about this. When you dig a hole for a tree, you have to think very well about how deep you want to make that hole. Because the soil has a transport system for water and oxygen. So when you dig too deep, you destroy that transport system. The name of that transport system is capillary. So here I dig 2 holes, and I'm going to show you the difference between whether you do or do not destroy the capillary. One of these holes is about 30 centimeter deep, and I put 15 centimeter loose soil in it. And the other hole, we only make 15 centimeter deep, and we leave the capillary intact in the bottom. When you leave the soil and the capillary intact, it's much easier to penetrate for the roots than the soil that you make loose with your shovel. The capillary are millions of little channels that go vertically downwards. When you have a rain shower, the water enters in those channels, goes deep into the soil, and it keeps on hanging in these little channels. And we call that capillary hang water. Many people think that trees live from groundwater, but that's not so. Groundwater is saturated, so there's no oxygen, and trees cannot live without oxygen. The capillary hang water has also oxygen, so that's the humidity that they can drink from. Groundwater is also very deep in many countries. It means that roots do not even reach that. So the thinking of people that trees live from groundwater is not right. Trees live from the capillary hang water. When the rain enters into the soil, it goes through the vertical channels deep into the soil. But it creates also a vacuum. It also sucks the oxygen into the soil, because the roots need oxygen to live from. So the combination of oxygen and water makes your soil fertile and makes your trees grow fast. What we are going to explain to you now is that a capillary system in the soil, that the vertical channels of it have 2 directions in which they help the water entering. Because when there is a lot of rain, they help the water entering downwards, but when it is very dry, they help the water going upwards. So when the water goes upwards, trees can live from it. Now what we are going to show you is how important it is when you dig a hole for the trees that you leave that capillary system intact. We are going to show it by putting 2 buckets of water in each hole. The quantity is equal, and after a while you can see that one of the holes is dry and in the other hole the water doesn't drain away because we have destroyed those little channels. In this soil we have destroyed the capillary channels. Look how loose it is. Lots of oxygen is getting lost now because the water goes into the soil and it removes the oxygen from the soil, which means that when you later on plant over there, there's no oxygen for those roots. And plants need oxygen like we need it. You can see that this soil is hard. We have left the capillary intact, and now we're going to put the water in this soil. We are now half an hour further, and we're going to show you the difference between the 2 planting holes. So this is the soil where we have broken the capillary system, and you can see that although the water seemed faster in the soil, it is not in the soil. It is still in the top layer, and the top layer is like cement. There's no oxygen in this top layer. It even looks like a mirror. When you take a look like that, it's saturated with water. It is very difficult for the roots to penetrate this because it is so humid that there's almost no oxygen in it. Now we're going to the other planting hole where we have left the capillary system intact, and we have seen that the water went a little bit slowly downwards into the soil. So you think that the drainage is less, But now you will see that this soil has been drained very well. You see that the water has gone, and you see that this soil is still loose. This means that the water that we've put in this planting hole is much deeper now. It's already maybe 1 meter deep into the soil, and you still have oxygen here. And that means that the roots can still grow, they will not die. The water enters into the soil and it goes into that capillary system. However, you have a lot of evaporation because of the sun. So many times, about 2 to 3 or 4 meters deep, the humidity, the capillary hang water starts. But the top layer, the first 2 to 3 or 4 meters, is too dry because the water that was in there has been evaporated. Now, and that is actually the problem that trees have in deserts. The root system is not able to penetrate the first 2 or 3 or 4 meters. And for this we use the Groasis water box because we create a capillary column through these first meters so that the roots can actually grow in the first year 2 to 3 or 4 meters deep in order to reach the natural quantity of water that you have there. And once that the roots are through these first meters, find that capillary hang water, then they are able to live in a desert or in a dry or eroded area. So what we actually do is we help the roots to penetrate the first meters to find the capillary hang water.